I watched Coffee Shop Names twice, and I super enjoyed it. You've got a little action, a little comedy, a little musical in there. Uh, and what I always like to start off asking people is, what inspired you to make the film? And along those same lines, why did you decide to make the film?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I had always sort of used the coffee shop name when I used Derek, and one day I just realized I was very attached to this name. I didn't know why, and then I started to sort of dawn upon me that I had had this name and this persona for my entire life, and it was sort of like an extension of myself. And I thought it was just an interesting and funny thing. And then when I wanted to write something short, I decided to use something that was part of my life for such a long time. And then I also felt like, we do this anyways with aliases. And, when you go online and you pick a username, even that choice that you're making is a choice that's a part of you. And I think it was just an interesting area to explore.
Nice. And is this your first short film? Have you made many before?
No, first time, really sort of learned along the way. But you get so much appreciation for really good short films when you make one, because you start to realize like, oh, it's really kind of hard to make something that is good in that medium, because the medium could be anything really. Like a short film can be a variety of things. So it was interesting playing in that world.
Awesome. And did you direct it?
I did.
You wrote and directed, correct?
I wrote and directed, yeah.
Got it. Was it, do you find yourself more of a writer, more of a director? Was it your first time doing either?
I think more of a writer, because I've been doing that for a longer period of time. I think the directing is executing your writing. And in television, I think it's very close, directing and writing, because, you're putting on the screen what you're writing. And I think it was more like that. But yeah, it was fun to actually use that muscle and then be upset at yourself as the writer, and you're on set, you're like, oh man, my writer self really screwed me here. And then when you're editing, you're going, oh man, the director self and the writer self screwed me as well. And so it's just like you're constantly just different hats, it was nice to do a lot more than what I usually do.
Nice. Do you think you're going to do it again?
I hope so. I mean, I come from animation. A lot of what I've done has been in animation. So you're really directing as well when you're working in animation. But it was really nice to actually speak to actors, instead of drawings. It's just a nice thing to actually work with people and having a lively set. I hope that comes back in a big way.
Yeah. And I know you work for TV. What was different about writing this from TV, like writing just a really short piece of material for you?
I think with TV, it's a conveyor belt. So once it's gone, it's gone. Like that's it. It's over. Like you can't even think about it. Whereas a short film, you're obsessing over like every little thing, because until you start shooting, you're just going, how do I rewrite this? Let me rewrite this. And let me change this as many times as possible. Whereas in TV, they're like, this is your deadline. Doesn't matter. You're going to give us something on this day, because it has to air on this at this time. So it's a little different. But it was a fun pressure. It was one of those things where, you're sort of, you have a team, behind you, and you don't want to let them down. So I just sort of use that more than the television structure, which is a little bit more. And then also with TV, you're writing with a bunch of people. And when you're doing this, it's really just you. So it's just a little different, but it was fun.
Nice. And then I wanted to go back to the story a little bit, because, you said it was inspired by your own experience. And I read that, you had this like alter ego, like pilot version of Derek. I'm curious for the other characters, were those, names and alter egos that you'd made up, or were they from friends of yours?
Probably my cousins are family friends. I just tend to use a lot of the names of people I grew up with. But for Rachel, it was inspired by Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I just thought I always liked that sort of character coming from an Indian woman. I just thought it would be so interesting, and the dance I really enjoyed. And then with with Scott. You know, he plays a firefighter, and I've never had one of my cousins say to me like, when I grow up I'm going to be a firefighter or a cop or anything like that. It was never like, I don't remember anyone saying that. Yeah, so I don't think you see a lot of young Indian kids going, well, I'll be a firefighter, because I just honestly don't know how that conversation would go with my parents. So I think that I just wanted to think of something that would be just sort of way outside of the box. And it was fun to shoot that scene as well.
Nice. And yeah, the musical part of it, I mean, the musical and the firefighter part, um, they're both so fun and have kind of, you know, elements of animation in them. Like
Right.
I can see how you think. What was it like doing a musical sequence in person?
Well, sorry, the last thing you said.
Oh, I said in person, but I meant like live action.
Oh, live action. Yeah, no, it's just a really big difference, because when you're doing animation, you can just change the background very quickly. And so it just opens up doors in animation. But here, you know, you have one set. So it's different. But I got to work with this great choreographer, Meryl Lester, and she was just so fantastic and sort of walked me through what we would be doing. And she has some great ideas. So I just completely leaned on her. But I love musicals. I'm obsessed with musicals. So it was really fun for me to just be able to do one of them, one sort of little scene. And so it was so much fun. I mean, when you're doing a dance and you have a really tight little bookshop that's so small that you can't really walk through, let alone dance through, it was just fun to shoot that. And it was much different than the coffee shop. So it was cool, live action, to do that, because when you do musical in animation, it's very much like you get it back, you change the drawings are all changed, and then here it's just like you got 1-2 hour session at that coffee shop. You better get it. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming you wrote the lyrics. Did you have a lot of input on like, you know, like the song?
yeah, well, I wrote the lyrics, but we had a composer do the song, and that was really helpful. And then Kausar Muhammad, who plays Rachel, she actually sang the song, and then she danced, and then she acted. She did everything for the film, so that was really cool. I was glad. It's really great actually to work with talented people, because you can just let them do their thing, and you look great at the end of it, but it's really all them. So that was a good experience.
Yes, I relate to that a lot in my filmmaking experience. Um,
Yeah, I saw your film. It was really good. I really liked it. It was one of those
oh,
things where I
thank
watched it. I
you.
was like, was that in LA? Because it did feel like an LA apartment. But
Yes, yeah, it was in my apartment. I like asked my building manager and I was like, is it cool if I just like do this real quick this like tonight? And they
oh
were,
wow, that's
yeah,
really cool.
they were chill with it. And yeah, so it was me and some of my friends and yeah.
Yeah, your acting performance was really good, and I related to it really hard, because I don't know if you know, we have a coin shortage now, and so getting laundry done at this time is really tough. But
I didn't know that. I have that laundry room is my laundry room and we have like an app you can use now.
oh yeah, we're getting there. But yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of places, especially where I
Dang.
live in West Hollywood, just is really tough to do laundry now. But yeah, no, it was really, really well done. The performances were so good, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, that has to be LA. It felt LA, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm definitely like an actor's director. I have a lot harder time talking about like, you know, the visuals and lenses and all of those kinds of choices. I'm like, no, I'm just going to focus on the performance.
No, that's great, because you don't, if you have none of those and you have the performance, then you have the performance. I mean, that's great. So if
Yeah.
they're doing all the work.
Yes,
They look good.
exactly.
So
And
yeah.
like you said, making us look good.
Are you an actress as well?
I'm actually more of a stage actress. I'm a part of Actors Equity, the Stage Guild.
Oh, that's
Uh, yeah, but I do think that any kind of acting, it has made me like a much better director.
because you can speak to your actors more, or how,
Yeah, like I feel like I can relate. And most of the time, what I do, you know, I ask an actor what they need first, like how do you normally work, and then I build off of that, as opposed to like this is how I am as a director. Uh, so I don't know.
that's great. I mean, that's a good, because I mean, getting to know how they think, I think, is such an important skill.
Yeah, totally.
because how else can you get what you want without knowing that, so.
Yeah. And writing too, I think is.
Did you write that as well?
I did write that. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Trying to make that writing a full-time living soon, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, what does this whole thing do to writers' rooms? And I think it actually helps. It helps writers' rooms because you can sort of be anywhere. I would obviously like to be back in the room, but
right.
For comedy especially,
Yeah. It's nice to work in a room, but it is nice to give more people opportunities.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's got both of those elements, but I really do believe you're going to see mixed rooms. Like I think you'll just have rooms that have screens. So I just feel like that will be the future, which is great.
Yeah. I think you're totally on point with that. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out after this. Yeah.
Do you think there's just going to be a bunch of content coming out like once this is all over, or do you think how do you think it'll work?
Yeah, I feel like some places have held content that they were going to release. So I don't think it's going to be as much of like a huge kind of dump, but I do think production's going to be crazy. Like I think schedules are going to be like insane. So we'll see. But
yeah. Hopefully we can get all the people that worked here. Like I really want to see all those people here still, over the years. So, but
yeah, 100%. It's cool. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I know there's been some kind of interesting opportunities for animation because that's something that can like continue through this.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, animation has been. I mean, I'm working in it now, and we haven't stopped. We've slowed down briefly because of recording, just to try to get recording safe. But that seems to be figured out now. So I think everyone is full steam ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, animation is working. But I think at some point people are going to get tired of animation. I think they're just going to like, can I see a real live action at some point? Like, So.
Oh yeah, we're all going to be thirsty for it very, very soon. So.
Yeah, I want to see a new movie in the theater.
I know. Yeah.
It's so nice to just go back to that time.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be a minute, I think, before we can have a full normal theater experience. But I'm glad that like Salute Your Shorts is doing a drive-in. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, are you going to be going to that, or do you know yet? Or
I think I should be going. Line Dry is playing at it.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's amazing. I get to watch that on the big screen. That's
yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm very excited.
I didn't think about it that way because we played at Palm Springs, but that was virtual. Yeah, it'll be the first time I get to see it like on a screen.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I mean, I feel bad for you. I hope you should have seen it like lots of other times, and another year you would have. But it's good. What a good way to first see it, and on such a big screen. That's gonna be cool.
Totally. I'm definitely more concerned. I have a feature that I'm submitting to festivals this fall, and I'm definitely more concerned about like, having a more normal experience for that because, you put so much into something like that and you're like, okay, well, if we're going all virtual, it kind of sucks, but it's nice the festivals are still doing it, I guess.
I think next year yours will be in next year's circuit, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you'll be getting the better end of it because it'll be like a lot of festivals that are up and ready, and people will be so excited to be at a festival. I don't think the crowds will be as big as before, but I think the people who are there are going to be so excited to be there. It'll just be such a good energy.
Oh yeah, I think that's true for sure.
Good luck with that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It was actually sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much about my own projects right now.
No, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it was based off of a short that I submitted. I wrote and produced it. My friend Laura Holiday directed it, called Disfluency, and that won Salute Your Shorts last year or the year before.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. And then we got interested in making the feature, so that's what we did. That's the short version.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to follow your career on whatever, Instagram or Twitter or something. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd love to see the film when it's done. And that's great. Your first feature.
Yeah, it's it's a lot, but I'm glad.
Was it like, now I'm interviewing you, by the way, but was it like such a big difference from the short? Like, was it just a longer time, or was it a completely different thing?
You mean like the experience in the process?
Yeah.
Honestly, it really does feel like making a short film for 16 days in a row.
Mm.
Or not in a row. You know, we had weekends. We did 5 days on, 2 days off because we're not crazy.
Yeah.
But it really did translate. I mean, there's more to keep track of, but it was like a relief how familiar it felt, if that makes sense. But yeah, to answer your question.
That's great. I'm glad that you felt comfortable because you've done it. Like, the other question would be, how would it feel had you not done any shorts?
Oh God. I would have felt like a train wreck, I think. I mean, it's like I try to explain filmmaking as like, especially indie filmmaking. I'm like, it's like, oh, it's like you're planning a wedding that's 16 days in a row. Like,
That sounds horrible, actually.
yeah,
But, but it is true. You're so right. It really is that, isn't it? And then you
yeah,
have to come home and go to it again the next day.
yeah, exactly. So I'll have friends that are like planning baby showers or other things. And I'm like, you don't even know.
That's a really good way to put it. It's
Yeah,
true. Because you have that many people that you have to sort of, figure out exactly, and timing and everything. So,
right, exactly. Do you have any interest in like making a feature and continuing directing and making more shorts and all that?
yeah, I think so. That's why I'm so curious about your experience, because you did how many shorts before you did your feature?
Um, I've I did I did about the reason I'm hesitating is because I've produced and worked on I was like heavily involved in 3 shorts before I
Hmm.
made the feature. But I also had an honors thesis in directing at the University of Michigan. Um, and I've also helped like on several other shorts. But yeah, this was actually Line Dry was the first short that I've written and directed since college. And then a few months after I shot the feature.
Wow.
Kind of bananas.
So you went from line drive right to your feature.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you were involved in a lot. So it wasn't like this was, yeah, you were sort of preparing for it
Yes.
as you did your feature, as you did your shorts. That's cool. Well, I'm really excited for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, and I still have more questions about coffee shop
Oh.
names.
Are we still doing that? Okay, sure.
Yeah, just to follow up, but I'm curious what you want people to take away from it, and that could be, like who is your audience, or what do you think it would mean to different groups of people?
I hope people enjoy the 8 minutes of it. I hope that they liked just the idea of the coffee shop names element, because people have seen it and they are not Indian, but they have coffee shop names, which I always think is great. And I felt like that sort of connected people to it. And I think the more that we have these names, the funnier it is, because like, who are we trying to really fit into? Like, I think that our names are so unique and they're nice, and we should just be proud of it if we want to be proud of it. But I also will always use Derek because it's just easier. I just don't have to say it like 3 times and all that. So I think we'll use that. So honestly, I don't know who the audience specifically would be, except for someone who could relate to the fact that they go to a coffee shop and sometimes use a different name. So for that, I think that's it. That's really all I was hoping for.
Gotcha. And what was my next question? I'm like blanking here. Um, so you kind of told me how you got the name Derek. Uh, I was caught off guard by him getting so upset about like the 2 hours and being like, "That's some guy who works in porn and blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, why do you think you feel, or the character feels like defensive of that other persona? Like you have like ownership over it. Is it a part of you?
I think that sometimes they get upset when names are spelt in a way that is not just the way I see the name. And I think that anger had translated in real life to, like, I wasn't actually upset, but in my mind, I was like, how dare they spell my fake name wrong? How dare they change the name that I had in my brain as this imaginary person? But I think that anger is just funnier because I like when anger is placed on something so minuscule and dumb that it just makes me laugh that he would be that upset, because I can understand it. I can relate to that, you know. And I think when you have this persona for your whole life and there's a little tweak to it, or someone sees it differently than you do, you know, I think that your anger in that situation is just hilarious to me. It's funny that, you know, we get so attached to these like alter egos.
Yeah. And then another question about kind of the filmmaking process. What was something that, like, and some people love this question, some people hate it, but what was something that was either like unexpected, something you had to overcome, or something you learned, you know, that you really like about, you know, that you liked about the experience? Like, did you love doing, like, was the musical part your favorite?
I loved working with the people I work with. I had a really great producer, Valerie Steinberg, that was just so good at what she does, and just the talented people. Like, the cast is a dream come true for me, you know, to work with that cast. So it was just, all that was what I liked. What I didn't like was with myself writing so many locations for a 3-day shoot. It was crazy. It was one of those things where I just went back to my writer stuff. I'm like, could you not put this in the same building at least? Like, you know, does it really have to be a burning house? You know, and I think those are the things that you just have to, like your experience, you know, you can only know this if you've done it. And then once you've done it, like, then you say, okay, I'm not going to do this next time. But if you don't, then how do you know any of these things? So I think it's just doing it, making it, learning from it.
Nice. And then I also wanted to ask, like, the meaning behind the names is so beautiful. Did you, like, is that something you kind of grew up knowing, like the meaning behind everyone's names in your culture, or is it more like you learned along the way when you were like writing the script?
Well, I learned a little bit about along the way, because I never really thought about my cousin's name so in depth before. I think they'd be like, "Well, why would you?" But I think that growing up as an Indian kid, your parents will always tell you how beautiful your name is, because you're complaining about your name. You know, I would come home from school and be like, could you just name me something normal so that I don't have to go out there and like explain my name like the 100th time to these kids out there? And then they would tell you, you know, like, your name actually means this. I'm like, well, that's great. That doesn't translate on the schoolyard. So maybe, you know, we could, yeah. So that, I think, is sort of a tribute. I think Indian people would look at that and go like, oh, my parents used to say that about my name. So I understand why that they would say that, because the names are beautiful. They're Sanskrit. They're, you know, they have these meanings that are part of Indian lore, part of our culture, part of all these things. But at the same time, it's just hard for a barista to get it right, and that's why the whole sort of thing started.
Got it. Do you ever have you ever had like an Indian barista and you're like, you know, you get it?
Yeah, I don't even have to tell her my name. She just knows it. Like, yeah, good, got it. You know, but yeah, you're right. That, I think, is hard. It's interesting, because I think when you have someone that knows you, it's just such a relief. You know, you don't even have to do the fake thing. But then I think automatically you do the fake thing, and the other person's like, nope, you don't need to do that here.
That's nice. Yeah, they got you.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then is there anything else that you want to add about the film or the experience?
No, I was really, really excited to be part of this festival, and I'm excited that I get to talk about this. I always think, you know, the one thing that you could tell yourself when you do this short film is like, hey, you better pick something you want to talk about for a while. You know, you better pick something that you want to talk about for a year, because if you pick something you want to talk about for a year, because, you know, had I known, like, you just know that you're going to be talking about the topic for a long time. So pick something that you like, because and first of all, as a writer, it's great to pick something you connect with, because you're going to have to talk about it. But as a writer, you want to write things that you are connecting with. So this particular thing is great, because I still go to Starbucks and I do the same thing. So I can always relate to it. But yeah, I'm glad I did pick something I liked.
Nice. And then some, like, I don't know if logistical questions is the way to phrase it, but what festivals have you been a part of so far?
Oh, there's been a bunch. We premiered at Santa Barbara, which was which was before, you know, everything. It was probably the last festival that was up, I think. So yeah, we've been in a bunch of them. Palm Springs as well. And so I don't want to miss any of the ones that we've been in, but yeah, we've been in a bunch. Unfortunately, you know, well, unfortunately, because it's the first time a lot of festivals doing these virtual festivals, but it was
Mm-hmm.
nice because I got to share the film more with people because they were online. So that was kind of cool.
Nice. I did you put your film up on? I was in Palm Springs and we put ours online. Did you put yours online at Palm Springs?
I don't know. When you say you put it up, was it like it's part of the festival, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then we did that for sure. Yeah, that
Oh,
was cool. Actually, that was a cool way to see it.
yeah, yeah. It was super great of them. I thought they ran a good program too.
Yeah.
Um, cool. And then the other question I want to ask is if people want to, follow you, look up more of your work, where should they check you out? What are your handles? What's your website?
But I'm a website, but I do have the handle Tremendous News, which is just my alias. I use that for Twitter and Instagram. But I don't know how active you are on social media, but I found that during the pandemic, I like have been less on it. I think it's just because no one's really out there doing all these amazing things that they used to be doing. So it's like less of an inclination to go there, just solely for the memes now.
Yeah, I know. I've had a similar experience being a lot more unplugged, uh,
Right. Yeah.
surprisingly. Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice. It feels like it feels healthy and great. So
Yes. Back to person mode for
yeah.
sure. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Would you like to do like a quick sign off? Just introduce your film and what you did on the project.
Sure. My name is Deepak Sethi. I'm the writer director of Coffee Shop Names, and I'm really pleased to have it be part of Salute Your Shorts Film Festival.